On June the 19th, 2001. And for the record, would you tell us about what branch of the service you were in and what rank you were?
I was active duty Air Force for 10 years from 82 to 92. I made the rank of E5 Staff Sergeant. I have since been in the Air Force Reserves, and I'm currently an E6 Attack Sergeant.
That's wonderful. We feel so honored.
Oh, thank you.
You're the first lady has come and let us interview her.
Well, good. I'm glad I could be here.
Excellent. Okay. And tell us a bit about what your everyday duties were, and some of the things that stand out in your memory that you saw that had an effect on your life.
Okay. Well, when I first came in, I trained to be a computer operator, large mainframe computers. I was assigned to Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado, known as NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense. A lot of people know that because they track Santa Claus at Christmas time. And that's where a lot of people have heard from it. I worked with the large mainframe computers. So we kept them up so that we could watch what was in the sky. And if there were any missiles launched or any rockets launched or anything like that, printouts would come out and we'd give them to the right people and they would analyze whether they were hostile or not. I was up there for 4 years, and I guess unfortunately the most notable thing that happened while I was up there was the blow up of the Challenger. And we did get a printout when the Challenger went up, and we also got a printout when it returned, the big piece. And so that was very disheartening to see that. After that, I went on to Peterson Air Force Base, and there we developed the software for the large computer up in NORAD. I was there for 4 years.
Now, where's Peterson?
Peterson Air Force Base is in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
Currently there are 4 Air Force bases and an Army base in Colorado Springs. Yes. Very, very big military, including the Air Force Academy.
Let's hope they stay there.
Yeah, yes. Yes, it's humongous in Colorado Springs now. I worked I didn't actually do any of the programming. I just ran the computers that the programmers worked on. I worked in the magnetic media library where we had all backup tapes and everything like that. For about 9 months before I got off of active duty, I was switched over to what's called the War Plans Division, where they come up with the contingency plans in case there are wars for different bases. And so that was very short-lived. I wish I would have done that when I began, because I probably would have stayed in active duty, but I'd already put in to get out.
Yeah.
And it was in 92. I got out in 92 and joined the reserves. Went to a medical unit at Peterson Air Force Base for about 3 months, but I found out that my husband had been assigned he's active duty also, but he was granted his commission, so he would be going to officer school and we'd be moving. So I got out in active duty for about 1.5 years until we transferred to Wright-Patterson here. Joined that unit in April of 94, and switched from computer operations to medical logistics, which is basically medical supply. Ordering the supplies from medical unit, and went through school and then joined them afterwards. Very interesting. I tried to get into medical on active duty, but there wasn't anything open at the time, so I finally got to get into something I wanted to get into by joining the reserves. And what we're called is an aeromedical staging squadron, and what their purpose is they're in the tents. Usually you have like your MASH units like you see on TV, and that's where they do the first care, and then usually the first care is your buddy, and he holds you together as best he can until he gets into a MASH unit.
So and then you do like the triage?
Well, at the MASH unit, they try to patch them up as best as they can. Then they send them to the ASTS, the staging squadron. They keep them stabilized, can do some minor surgeries, and at that point, then they switch them to the Aerovac system, which takes them to larger hospitals. So those people are your medical technicians, your doctors, your nurses, of course medical supply, pharmacy, I think there was dental in there too, to help stabilize the patients so that they can actually be moved. My job, of course, was ordering medical supplies and doing a lot of carrying patients around onto the planes and off of the planes. After that, my husband got stationed to Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. So we went down there, and I tried to transfer to another staging squadron down there, but there was nothing available. So I switched over to the AES, the Aeromedical Evacuation Squadron. Now we're the ones that fly the patients from the zones, the war zones, to bigger hospitals, like in Germany, Japan, United States, or wherever is closest. What I do in this job, which is the best job I've ever had, is, of course, order medical supplies, order medical equipment, load the equipment on, take the equipment off, order food, order lunches. If we get there ahead of time and there's nothing built, we build it, we put the tents up, we find the water, we find or make the restrooms if we have to, and take people to the flight line, from the flight line, back and forth like that. It's it is. It's the groundwork. It's the logistics of it. It's all that goes into getting the equipment on and the flyers on, the med techs and everything onto the planes and back. And I've been with this unit. I live here in Ohio, but I drill in Alabama still.
Oh, okay.
And I stay down there, and I've been with that unit since August of '98.
Do you do a lot of traveling?
I'm starting to. I have 2 daughters. One will be 15 this month, the other one turned 10. So for a lot of that, they were young. Plus with my husband being military also, we've been separated a lot. A lot of times, well, he went to officer school, and I stayed with the kids. He went to some regular schooling, and I stayed with the kids. He came out here. I sold a house in Colorado. He went down to Alabama. We finished up school and moved down there. Right now, he's currently stationed in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, bless
Are you going out there now?
No. He's trying to get stationed back here, but he's been out there for 2 years last month.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a hard life, but it's also fun and it's also interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, when I was in Colorado for 10 years, approximately, I didn't go anywhere. My job did not let me go to different places. There wasn't any need for that. Since I joined the reserves with Wright-Patterson here, I did go to Korea for 2 weeks. We had a hospital out there that we needed to go check on and inventory and everything. So that was very interesting. With the unit I'm in now, they go all over the place. They do a lot of what are called cross countries, which are Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, to different states. And they go there and train with that. And I haven't had a chance to do that with them. But yes, as soon as my husband gets home, my career starts.
Yeah, well, that's just really
Yeah,
exciting.
I did get to go to Hawaii in February for an exercise.
Nice time to go if you live in Ohio.
Yes, yes. It was. The weather was nice. It was a disappointment as far as how it was set up, but that's why we do them, so that we can learn from them and do better in case we actually have to get together. Because usually in exercises, there's a lot of different units. Sometimes there's even different branches of the military, and we're all trying to work together. They just pick people from different ones, throw you together, and say, okay, now make it work. And I just got back in May, about 3 weeks ago, I guess, from Puerto Rico.
Oh.
Now that was fun. That was great. It was a fantastic experience. The locals were just great.
Oh, that's
I mean, you
great.
couldn't ask for a better group of people.
Well, this is so interesting. It gives me tremendous insight as to what's going on in preparation.
Oh,
of,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Kind of an act.
You know, you see, well, like with the Gulf War and everything. I mean, you saw them after they were on the ground and while they were shooting and things like that. But the airlift, us, an airlift wing, are the ones that brought them over.
Right.
And the big, the cargo, the C-130s and the 141s and C-5s and everything. So there's a lot that goes on long before. When we left Puerto Rico, those guys were just getting ready to go. I want to say Kosovo, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was Saudi. But they were just getting ready to go over there. And the reserves is set up now where we have a cycle of 15 months, and different units are grouped together. And what you're basically on call for any worldwide duty. And ours will be starting March of '02 to July of '03. So anything that comes up that can be, and we can even be called up for natural disasters.
Okay,
It's not strictly so much the Guard.
Uh-huh.
Guard is usually United States disasters, but we can be called up for international disasters. And that we can also augment, replace active duty in different places. It's very fun. A lot of people regret getting off of active duty because, after 20 years goes by so quick, and they think, oh gee, I could have retired by now.
Right,
But
exactly.
I'll never regret getting off of active duty. Never. I love what I do, and I love the people I deal with.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's so good to hear.
It is. It's fun.
Yeah, we've had a lot of men in here, and you're the first woman. What's the ratio of men to women? Are there a lot more women in the service nowadays?
Oh, there's a lot more. When I first joined active duty, my first station is in Colorado, and I was not quite 19 yet. 18 and a half, I guess, when I got there. I was one female, one kid out of 9. There were 9 guys and me.
What made you want to join the service?
My boyfriend was in at the time, and I thought it would get us together.
Mhm.
Never did see him after that. I mean, not military related.
Yeah,
We tried
okay.
to make it work, and
Uh-huh.
we were young anyway.
Yeah.
But he joined, and I was in the catch-22. I didn't have money for college, so I needed a job, but there were no jobs in my area to get money to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it'd be a good idea to, join the military.
And a lot of people do that.
Right, and I thought, well, 4 years, even at 18, 17 when I joined up, 4 years didn't seem to be that long. And I thought, well, I'll just do 4 years and I'll get out. Well, it's been a little bit longer than 4 years later, and I'm still in.
Well.
And I plan on staying in.
Yeah, that's good.
I can stay in, I found out, until 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I had the option to maybe extend it for 3 more years.
That's what I found out.
Right, so I still have a lot of years left. For the reserves, the limit usually is 30 years or the age 60, whichever comes first. We have a lady in our unit, and she carries patients around, and she's a medical technician, and she will be turning 60 at the end of this year.
You have 2 girls now, right?
Right.
What do they think about mom and dad in the military?
They don't mind mom so much. They
Miss
dislike
her.
the military for taking dad away from them.
Yeah.
Because I just go for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The longest I'd ever been away was 6 weeks for my training when I joined into the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
And but most of mine aren't more than 2 weeks time. And I gave up a lot of opportunities to go places to stay with the kids because they were so young. I did a lot of my training just on whatever base I was stationed. I didn't go.
So they do allow you a little flexibility with the children.
Oh, the reserves is, yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing that you have to do in reserves is your weekends and your 2 weeks. Anything above that, usually they can't force you to do. Now, if it has to do with your training and you're going to lose your positions because you don't get that training, then, well, that's up to you. And a lot of it's more for medical technicians because they have so many medical classes that they have to go to. Of course, most of those people are medical people in their civilian jobs too.
Now, do you go down to Alabama for your weekend a month, or
Well,
do you do it here at Great Patterson?
No, I go down here. There was a unit up in Chicago,
Mhm.
and they closed that unit down about 4 or 5 years ago. When they closed them down, our unit went up and asked them, if we provide you with an airplane to get down to Alabama, will you join us? And they said yes. There's still enough people doing it that there is a plane that comes out of a little town called Aurora,
Mhm.
which is just west of Chicago. So I drive to Chicago and catch an airplane and go down to Alabama and then come back. So it's about 6.5 hour drive. up and then 6.5 back. But I enjoy the people, I enjoy the unit, and I enjoy the opportunities with this unit. So
That's wonderful.
I've put more miles on my car since I've had it than it took me 6 years to put on my last car.
I can imagine that, yeah.
But it's great. It's great. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Military is really the only job I've ever had. I've had enough opportunities to work extra days and make extra money with them that I haven't really had to get an outside job, but not for very long. I've worked, I worked at Kmart, like for part-time for a year and a half, and I worked here at the Village Restaurant, and I've been doing that for a couple of months, but I haven't had to get a full-time job or anything. Military's been it.
That's wonderful.
And well, I can't think. I'm sure once I go home, I'll say, "Gee, I should have mentioned this or that." But I haven't actually participated in any wars or been deployed. When the Gulf War started, I was very pregnant with my second, and
Okay, so that's how you missed.
and really, large computers. There's not too many of them that get sent to sites like that. Now, my career did end up being joined with communications, which a lot of those people, of course, went over to set up the radios and telephone lines and all that stuff. But at that time, I knew of one person. I bowled with him and his wife, and I knew he went over, and he was a communications person. Didn't really know anybody other than that went over.
So you would recommend this lifestyle to young women?
Oh, I would.
They don't have.
I would. If nothing else, it gets you in, and it gets you your schooling, and there's a lot of schooling help afterwards. And for the reserves, your basic commitment is the 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year. And it depends on what you get into is how much more you can volunteer for. There's chances of becoming full-time reservist to where you work at the unit, 9 to 5 every day. It just depends on if there's an opening for your job. There's not too many for my job opened in it. There's the opportunity to travel. If you're a load master on the airplanes, if you put the cargo on and off the airplanes, you can be gone more than you're home.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Uh-huh.
If you don't, then you don't.
I would love the travel part.
Yeah, but I joined for schooling and travel. So far, I haven't been back to school yet, and I haven't traveled too much. A lot of that's been because of my decision.
Sure.
With family and
the
everything.
opportunities are there, and it sounds like
They
get
are.
more of that.
They are. I think the military kind of has a bad rap right now, and the active duty part is not as good as when I came in. Benefit-wise and everything like that. But I think the reserves is a good way of going. And trying it, and then you can always transfer over to active duty. They'll be more than happy to take a trained person if you decide that you want to.
I think some people just aren't aware of some of these things. I'm not military oriented at all, so I'm learning a lot from what you're saying, whereas her husband is in the service, so you know some of this. See, I don't know any of it.
Yes,
so.
it's a whole different world. It really is. And like I said, unless you're around somebody or can talk to somebody about it, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what's out there. But with the active duty, losing so many people, downsizing and everything, the reserves are taken over. Pretty much all airlift is done by reserves.
Oh, I see.
Everything that moves to and from just about is done by reserves. We just acquired a route of going to Puerto Rico and back with live patients. My unit actually transfers and takes care of live patients. It's not all training anymore. Wright-Patterson has actually been doing that for a few years. They were doing that before I left. So there's just more and more opportunities out there.
Well, thank you. We've gotten the history of wars, and we've got an update of someone who's serving. Well, thank you so
I have a
much.
question.
Okay.
The ribbons on your chest. What
Oh, don't ask me which ones. Actually, I have more. It used to be before you could wear all, some, or none, and I just put on what I have. I'm not even. I think I have 2 or 3 more that I'm supposed to be wearing, but I don't. This one you get in basic training, and this is a good conduct. Or no, this is longevity. This one's good conduct. This is the armed services. This one here is commendation medal, and that's one I can't remember offhand. So you can edit that one out.
What was the accommodation for?
It was for the years that I was on active duty. My last station in the War Plans Division, when I got ready to leave, went through my history of the last 9 years that I had been there, and wrote me up one for all the participation that I had done in 3 different sections. But it was a great group. Actually, there when I joined them, they were all officers. I was the only enlisted, and great. That was a great group of people. I wish I would have got to know them earlier. That's one thing nice is you meet so many people, and you make some really strong friendships.
Well, how did you get your stripes?
Well, the first 3 you get pretty much automatically. If you serve enough time and behave yourself.
Behave yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, the first one, at the time, you got it 6 months. The second one at a year, and the third one at 2 years. 2.5 years. And then, I actually went the wrong way. You need to start at the top, going down. The fourth one is, the first one you have to, on the active duty, you have to test for. And you have your military history, then you have your job. There's 2 tests. They take those tests and add it together, and of course you get performance reports, and you get points for those, and they add them all up. And then they say, okay, well we can promote, 15% of everybody who tried. So wherever that cutoff would be the number, the score you'd have to make. So you'd have to do that. Now as far as reserves go, first 3 are automatic too. After that, you have to be in a position to get promoted, and you have to have your courses, your military courses done. So to make the last stripe, I was in an E6 position. I had all my military courses done. I had been in long enough, so I was promoted to it. Right now, I am also in an E6 position. I cannot get promoted because I need to be in an E7 position unless I have enough information to put into a package that a board looks at and decides whether I could get another stripe or not. Bad thing is most units with my career field, E6 is the highest slot they have. Unit in Alabama does have an E7 slot. But he doesn't plan on retiring, and there's a guy ahead of me that would get it before I would anyway. So it's
That'll be a tough one.
it is. There's good and bad. Active duty, I said you have to test, and it's up to you. If you don't score high enough, you don't get promoted. It's you. And the reserves, a lot of it, people go to even more extremes than I do to get promoted. We have one guy that comes out of Arizona to drill in Alabama. It's a lot of times you have to move, or you have to go someplace else to get promoted because the positions just aren't available. But the positions that are available, it's easier to get promoted into. You don't have to test for them. You just have to take some classes and be ready. So there's good and bad about both of them, about the promotion system.
What's the highest rank in the reserves?
The highest rank is also the same as active duty. It's an E9, the Chief Master Sergeant. Those are very few and far between. We do have
He's an E9.
We do have a 1 Chief Master Sergeant slot in my unit, and that is for medical technician, for a med tech. We have an E8, a Senior Master Sergeant, that's for admin, medical administrative. So they're out there. It's just the higher you go, the less positions there are, because you don't need that many managers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, in a position. So it's hard to achieve, but people do it.
Okay.